Francina Hallrest, and this is Empowered Family Talk. May the words of our mouths and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Good day to each of our listeners and sponsors, and welcome back to Empowered Family Talk on this Monday, April 16th, 2018.
Thank you.
Our scripture for today is Galatians 3:28 and 1 Corinthians 12 through 27, which is a segue to our topic today, we the peoples paying it forward in our 21st century, inclusion of minority and women-owned business enterprises and their economics for today and the next diverse generations. Are we prepared? I am delighted to be joined today by our special guests, panelists at the table, featuring Miss Maria Lopez, representing Miss Maria out of the state of Florida. Welcome.
Thank you.
And Mr. Mel Rapplier out of the state of Florida. We welcome you again to be with us.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yes, and Mr. Demetrius Manaritas, we welcome you for being with us again today from the state of South Carolina.
Thank you very much.
And of course, yours truly, Francina Tate Hallrest, is pleased to be at the table. As we all represent, as our topic today at the table, Greek, French, Latina, and African American business owners. So it's quite fascinating. Before we get started with our talk today, I'd like to read an open statement that was submitted to our table for discussion from Tech Diversity Magazine. And the topic is supplier inclusion in the 21st century. The shift is on. And I'll take a few excerpts from that article, and it reads as such, quote, "Several events in recent months around the idea of an inclusive supplier and workforce base driving revenue should resonate with diversity practitioners. We have seen C-level executives at Walmart, Hewlett-Packard, and General Mills take strong positions on inclusion with their suppliers. In all these cases, these major brands demanded inclusion within their workforce from their major suppliers as a requirement to do business with them." And another excerpt that he writes is the supply chain, the importance of an inclusive workforce throughout their supply chain. Partners are reaching the inclusive majority, which he says should be a wake-up call for chief procurement officers who drive the efforts to structure an inclusive supply chain to completely overhaul their processes. And he's a big believer that the supply chain should reflect the consumer base that it serves. And I close and submit to the table. As we talk about paying it forward in the 21st century, the question for the table becomes, what can we do today as minority and women business owners as we pay it forward to balance the scales for MWBEs to be validated in their value as we pay it forward in generational wealth? So we are fortunate today to have Miss Maria Lopez on the panel, who represents Latina American. And we want to ask Miss Lopez if she would share with our audience a little bit about herself as a MWBE and just as a person. Tell me about yourself, Maria.
Thank you, Francina, for having me. It's an honor. I was born in Puerto Rico. I moved to the mainland when I was about 5 years old. I spent most of my life in the state of Florida. I do have 3 beautiful children. I've always had a strong interest in helping people. I'm a licensed esthetician. I've done skincare and makeup for clients for many years. I'm a bilingual business owner, and I have very strong interest in astrology and feng shui, and I continue to expand my education in those fields due to that I will be servicing feng shui in my business as well.
Well, tell us a little bit about your business, the essence of Maria.
I worked for a company for many years, and I didn't really get the satisfaction that I put in. I started doing skincare and makeup on the side to start my business. I created a website which is under construction right now because I'm adding some new services. That website is www.essenceofmaria.com.
Well, there's one particular piece as a minority business owner myself, one of your offerings that you have in the Essence of Maria is feng shui. How did feng shui play a part in your personal development as a woman?
I began studying feng shui and practicing the things that I have learned. As a single mom with 3 children, I had to rely on myself to support them. I noticed that I started practicing the science of feng shui, and opportunities started arising to me. I started reaping the rewards of feng shui. My business started making changes, growing. I also noticed small and large changes in my environment and in my home.
Well, I tell you, we had one of our previous shows, I believe, Mel and Demetrius, with Ken Lauer out of New York, who gave us a good introduction to feng shui and its benefits. So, Maria, I really believe you'll pick up a lot of interested business folks in the future. Now, you're a Latino business owner in Florida. Could you tell me about your challenges and successes as a MWBE, as we call it, Minority Woman Business Enterprise in the state of Florida?
Well, I have the advantage of being bilingual. My customer base is expanded because I can communicate with a wide variety of people. I have no disadvantages. I see the service that I provide through feng shui, skincare, and makeup as having a positive effect on customers. And I continue to learn more and teach as well.
Well, you know, Mel and Demetrius, I have to share my story with Maria, as we say on the show today, ladies first. And Maria has an incredible story, and as a woman business owner, and my story here is that I've been an African-American business owner as woman-owned for over 30 years. And the most recent enterprise being nuclear security, as we all know. And we've learned that there are a lot of challenges to really manage a portfolio of $100 million or more in business, which is what I was able to do with a team, with Demetrius and others. But you know, there were challenges and there were successes. And I have a passion today. And as we're teaching in the Coach Tate Foundation, that we have a program that we call How to Pay It Forward, Maria, and How to Fail Forward. Because what we haven't taught in being a business owner is how to fail successfully.
Right.
Most of us have been trained and educated all of our lives to win, 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 compete, win, win, win. But when we hit those road bumps, as we talked about earlier, Maria, those bumps in the road, then we have many, many choices to take. And one of them is bankruptcy for women business, minority business owners. Sometimes they get in too much debt or they run into some kind of corruption. And just being able to understand the laws of bankruptcy is one of the things I found was a learning experience as a woman business owner. Mel and Demetrius,
Yes.
have you had, could you share your comments on where we are with suppliers as a minority? Maria and I talked about the challenges for women. And as men, you've been from Greece and Mel, been French American. What successes and challenges have you encountered? And we'll start with Mel.
Okay. With me, I've been in human resources for over 25 years. I grew up in the Washington, D.C. area, a very, very diverse area. And a lot of my job was hiring people that were reflective of the community. And the Washington, D.C. area, as you know, is mostly African-American community.
Mm-hmm.
And my challenges were to reach out to the people that live in the area to get them to work for us. One of the things that I staffed for was the Smithsonian and the National Gallery of Art and the CIA, the White House, different services that we did for those companies. And our challenge was to get out there. My greatest effort in that area was actually my friendship with Marion Barry, the mayor of Washington, D.C. at the time, because we actually started a youth initiative where we hired over 3,000 youth in the Washington, D.C., suburban Virginia, and suburban Maryland area to come work on the National Mall area, to work the 4th of July events, to work the tennis courts, to work all the different things that D.C. offers, and especially at the Smithsonian and the mall. So I had a great impact with Mayor Marion Barry on working on those projects and going out to the community and meeting community leaders and hiring people. And it's just a matter of getting out there and putting the time in. A lot of people just don't spend the time to go out to the community where they're based to hire people from that area. And that's one of the things we had a great success with. And I'll let Demetrius take over from there.
Thanks.
Well, I like that success. Go ahead, Mr. Demetrius.
Okay. Yeah, my background is I'm Greek background. My parents are both from Europe. Growing up, I grew up in a small city in Ohio. Actually, I was born in Massachusetts. I'm first generation, but I watched my family go through jobs, struggles, and then start their own businesses. So at a young age, my dad had a clinic back in the 70s. So, I mean, the clinics are everywhere now, but back then, 1978 was called the Vermilion Clinic. So I watched the challenges and struggles, a lot of hours, going from a job to an entrepreneur. And then my mom, she had a restaurant. She was a cook all her life, so she started a restaurant. And I used to help out with the restaurant as well. So I used to jump from going from the clinic to my mom's restaurant. It was in the same city. And then, my background was design. So not only was I doing that, I was going to school during the school year, and I decided to start a toy company. So the challenges of the toy company were the same thing: hiring employees, make sure everything show up to work, make sure they're qualified, not just fill the spots, but make sure they know what they're doing. I had to watch everybody. People coming in late, not doing what they were supposed to do. You'd have to talk to them. That would take time. So the challenge, we're trying to multitask. If you're a business owner that I experienced, you have to multitask and you have to know your business, because if that person doesn't come to work, you have to fill in and make sure the production line still goes. So those were the challenges, to make sure everything is put in place from point A to Z. You have to know your whole business, or it's not gonna be successful.
Well, thank you, Mr. Demetrius, for those 2 points, and I do appreciate that point, which leads me to my second point for the table on supplier inclusion. Is when I look at the Tech Diversity Magazine report, and one of the statements he made kind of got my attention. He says, "When you show up at my front door He said, I want to see an entire business team reflecting my customer base. This should be the inspired message being driven by these C-suite executives and most likely countless others who are charged with the mission of generating revenue from the markets that they serve. And so that, to me, is key. But you know what, guys? I think we need to talk about, Maria, you probably want to chime in on this, is we have to prepare our suppliers for these contracts. Because you've got a system out here where billions of dollars of contracts are being awarded every year. We know one of our major clients, $10 billion a year just for staffing. So we understand that there's a whole process to get to that level, but you have these young kids graduating from college next month. We call them collegepreneurs who are coming out. They have the perfect business plan. They have the financial projections in Excel, but they haven't prepared themselves to get in and actually close a deal. Maria, what solutions can we put in place going forward that we get our entrepreneurs, our business owners prepared to receive that dream contract that they're working hard to get every day?
Well, talking for myself and my experience, it's a great question. I continue to expand my education and use technology to reach out to new customers. I will take my fundamentals knowledge that I've learned in Feng Shui, the 16-year-old science that is applied to modern day. My challenge is that in the world where information is at the fingertips but is not always correct, to get out my positive message, to educate, inform, and grow.
Do you find that the structure to be successful as a minority and woman-owned business in the state of Florida conducive to success for a service such as yours for growth?
The difference is that I'm passionate. You have to be passionate in what you do. I'm passionate and I am a good listener, and that's what makes the difference in delivering 100%.
So what I hear from you is for suppliers that are aspiring to secure these contracts for their products or services, you have to be prepared. And one of the ways you recommend getting prepared is education.
Absolutely.
Getting educated and being passionate about what you're doing.
Yes, because you can have education, but you're not passionate about it, and you won't be able to deliver 100% of it. It has to come out of the heart to get that full effect. Exactly.
Mel, could you share any additional feedback on suppliers going forward? One of the key things in this Tech Diversity Magazine article was when folks like Walmart, these corporations, and Hewlett-Packard hire diverse suppliers such as a Maria, Essence of Maria, or HRSR or TTD, they'll allocate 20% of a $10 billion contract. But you have to demonstrate that you can actually handle that kind of money. What type of advice would you give, Mel, going forward for our aspiring suppliers to jump into the market as far as structure and being able to close the deal?
I think you have to have a very strong community outreach. You have to be able to and technology is a great thing, but it depersonalizes the actual going to a facility, such as, I know one of the places that I recruit is House of Ruth, which is, as you know, I teach martial arts and I teach self-defense to women who've been abused or mistreated or whatnot. And I've had a relationship with House of Ruth for a long time. And I go to House of Ruth because many of those women, if not all those women, need jobs. And a lot of them are afraid they're going through, some real turmoil in their life, having to deal with a an abusive husband or boyfriend or a stalker or whatever it may be, and they're trying to get their life back together. One part of that is they attended the classes that I do on how to protect themselves on self-defense. The other part is getting a job, and the ability for us as employers to reach out to them and say, we offer jobs, come work for us. But in a lot of cases, people who are in that situation already negate that and say, I don't think anybody will hire me because I'm going through this or I'm whatever. So that's one group. Another group that I reached out to is the Asian community by going and meeting with Asian leaders. And the same thing, they're like, well, would you hire us for that? We don't think you would hire us for that. And I go, why wouldn't I hire you for that? Well, you're the first person that's ever come to our facility that hasn't sent us an email or a brochure or a text or whatever. You've actually come to our facility to recruit our people. No one's ever done that before. Most of the time they just send us an email saying, would you be interested in posting up this link to go to a URL or something like that? Very impersonal. You show up there, and that's part of being part of the community, getting involved in the community, whether it's recruiting from churches or recruiting from House of Ruth or from Asian or Latino backgrounds or African American. Is as employers, we have to get out there and get our face in front of people, not just send them an email saying, I'm looking at the emails I have right now as we talk. I've got over 100 emails that have come in since 9 o'clock this morning. I'm not going to read all those. And if Demetrius, say, for example, sent me one saying, hey, I've got this great company, TTD, come explore us, we're great, we'd love to hire you, blah, blah, blah. I'm probably not going to read that. I'm probably going to think it's spam. I'm going to cut it out. But if I go to where he is and I say, I'd like to meet with you and talk about hiring new people, I'm going to have a stronger impact.
Well, that's what I really like. Demetrius, do you have anything to add to that? As you were very involved with, has been a shareholder, part owner in the nuclear security business, not only as an owner, but as an employee within the company.
Yes.
And how, we had the benefit of being a minority and woman-owned business for a major Fortune 500 corporation in an area exclusively in nuclear security.
Yes.
And you encountered from Mississippi all the way up to the Southeastern supplier and workforce diversity. Can you share some of the solutions that work for TTD?
Yes, very much. One thing I can actually say from experience is when I used to go do site visits, not only when we do the interview and so forth, when you interview them, whoever we select to get hired, a lot of companies, they just hire them and then never see them. Excuse me. One thing that we did, we had a philosophy: go to your client, and shake hands and say hello. Can I help you? Any issues today? People want to see that you care about them. And when you show up and they're like, oh my God, I don't know how many times people told me, boy, the last company never even came. So I'm like, wow. And then it's so interesting. Once you get down there and start talking, they'll tell you all kinds of things. And what that does is you build a relationship with them, and you build trust. You have to trust. It's a longevity thing. The longer you build a relationship, the more you trust each other. So when we used to do the site visits, we had less issues, but we visited more often. The less we visited, the more issues we had. So another thing with Mel talking about the emails, I get a lot of emails as well. When you have multiple accounts, they're all shooting emails. A lot of that stuff's spam. But when I get a phone call, let's say Mel will say, hey, I'm going to send you an email. I know that email is coming, and I'm going to read that one. Not this somebody from another country that's sending me some email that says, hey, hello. They don't even give you your name. I know it's a big spam, and it's not even something I want to look at. It's a waste of time, actually, because time is money.
Well, I think from what we have concluded here, it seems, is, one thing we realize as business owners is money is time and time is money, just like you said, Demetrius. And we can debate the issues and the challenges all day long, but the fact is the scales are unbalanced. They're imbalanced for the minority businesswoman enterprise to share in the greater marketplace in supply and demand of their products and services. So to add to the table as far as solutions going forward in this area from Francina is that we create an auto bond. I mean, a direct business to business. Back in my day, we used to have handshakes. Your word was your bond. And the suppliers who are aspiring to get these contracts, you have to be prepared. And it's like my grandpa used to always say, coming up, he said, you can do all these things. You're gifted. I look at business like playing basketball. You know, I'm a point guard. I set the team up. Everybody has a role to play. And he said, you take one thing that you do well, one thing, down the middle of that road and make it strong, make it good, make it valuable to the greater marketplace. Then you can add on. Once that takes legs, then you can add on these other parts. But I find that in most collegepreneurs, they're looking at trying to build Rome overnight. And going forward, if we can create an auto bond, get us a good senator, Mel, up there in Washington. Those are your roots. Get us a good senator who can get a bill passed where we can have women who are stay-at-home moms to get paid a salary and make it law. That's a full-time job. They're teaching, they're counseling, they're nutritionists, they're psychologists, they're educators, they're business planners. They organize the home. And for those that are in that position, they should have a salary. So, Mel, we've got to talk to a couple senators and see if we can get an auto bond set up so that any demand and supply that's out there can be presented to a decision maker, not somebody that has to go through 5 channels to get a maybe, but where the value of a service and product of our young entrepreneurs and our business owners, minority and women, is valued at the market rate of economics today. And we have to ensure that when we step to that table to sign a deal, contract for business, or a job offer for a position, that we have our value on the table up front. The clients will respect it. Mel, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think that you're absolutely correct. A lot of times you spin your wheels and you're not talking to the person that needs to make it happen for you. And I've found, with the dealings I've had, this especially comes from, growing up in the Washington, D.C. area and seeing how politics works.
Yes.
That you can spend a lot of time talking to the wrong person, and that's not the person that pushes the button. I've found that, there's a lot of layers in between. I know, when I've gone to different cities, my first step is to try to talk to the mayor and try to get to them, not the mayor's assistant, not the mayor's, proxy or anything like that, not his major domo.
The gatekeepers. You got to get through the gatekeepers.
Got to get through the gatekeepers. And I hate to say it, it's really tough as a minority, for minority owners to get through these gatekeepers because, it's call it discrimination or call it whatever you want. It's just very hard to get through these gatekeepers to the main person. And then a lot of times I've noticed, I'll be at an event and I'll talk to a mayor or a governor and they'll say, oh my gosh, I wish you would have brought this to me. And I go, I tried. You have like 6 people throwing up blocks in front of me. I couldn't get it to you. Yeah. And he's like saying, well, next time just call me direct. Don't, go through all that. So, my biggest advice to anybody out there listening is, end around as much as you can. I hate to say this from an HR person, but I can't tell you how many times I've had a president or a CEO come back from a trip and say, hey, no, I ran into this great person that I sat Zillions looking for a job. And I'll be like, that's great, Mr. CEO, but we're in a medical business and this is an architect. But I'm still expected as the Vice President of Human Resources to call that architect and and diplomatically explain to them that we inject Restylane and Juvederm into people's faces and Botox. We don't build anything. So, but that person got the attention of the CEO by reaching out to them on a plane or whatever and saying, "Hey, I'm looking for a job." And he's like, "Hey, you sound like a really good person. I'm going to give you to my VP of HR. And because I don't have the heart to tell you on the plane, I'm not going to hire you." But use kind of that same format when you want to get ahead in business. When you want to get a contract, you have to contact the main person and just say, "Hey, I want to talk to you." And then when the mayor calls down to, say, the attorney general or somebody that's in the department and says, "Hey, I spoke to these people," it carries a lot more weight.
Well, Mel, thank you for that. And Maria, thank you so much. And Demetrius, for your counsel in this area. And you certainly, we can't cover this vast subject within an hour. But we would like for our listeners to at least have their questions answered and give them food for thought, so that they can place this information into their toolkits as they decide they're going to go either way, whether they're going to be a supplier in the 21st century or whether they're going to go in the workforce. And that's going to be the topic of our second segment as we take a short break here. We want you to think about workplace inclusion in the 21st century and how do we bridge the gap. Let's take us a short break and we'll be right back.
Empower your family with the dynamic new book by Francina Holris, Our Sixth Sense and Purpose, The Power in Knowing Who You Are. It's the book that gives you insights into life's problems. Francina Holris is an author, motivational speaker, and national broadcaster who believes the answers to your problems lies within the knowledge that was once traditionally passed down by families. But that knowledge has been short-circuited by today's faster pace. The book, Our Sixth Sense and Purpose, The Power in Knowing Who You Are, brings that accumulated wisdom to the problems that all families face. You'll find your copy of Our Sixth Sense and Purpose, The Power in Knowing Who You Are at Amazon and at better bookstores. Empower your life with the dynamic new book, Our Sixth Sense and Purpose, The Power in Knowing Who You Are by Francina Holris. Do you want to empower families and young people in your community? Then take the time to make a tax-deductible contribution to the Coach Tate Fund. The Coach Tate Foundation is dedicated to helping young people and their families in learning and passing on the kinds of life skills that we all need to succeed. All too often, we hear about kids and their families having encountered life's difficulties that could have been easily avoided by knowing better decision-making skills. From anger management to money management to something as simple as learning to manage how we spend our time or how we use our job skills. Make a donation to the Coach Tate Fund. It'll help kids who need help and their families too. Make your contribution to the Coach Tate Fund. Get details at www.coachtatefoundation.com. And oh, by the way, thank you.
Welcome back to Empowered Family Talk, our second session with Mr. Mel Raplier and Miss Maria Lopez and Mr. Demetrius Mamaritas, and of course yours truly, Francina Tate Holris. And guys, before we get into our second session on workplace inclusion, I'd like to read a quick statement, and then we're going to come to Maria to close out those last two questions we have for her on a submittal from the Workplace Inclusion Society. And it reads as, quote, "America is changing. Demographically, we are projected to become, quote, majority minority, unquote, before 2050. The big news is that this is no longer driven by immigration, which has in fact slowed down. but rather it's been driven by births in the United States. That demographic inevitably has been accompanied by an unsettling shift in America's economy. While debates continue to occur about the respective roles of technology and international competition in either creating or destroying employment, it is clear that the average person's sense of job security has withered in what was supposed to be an exciting and hopeful new economy, unquote. Now, Mel, I will get to you shortly, but Maria, I'd like you to, there were two questions that were submitted and for you to answer from our listeners. Any advice that you would like to give minority and women getting into business in the 21st century?
I would say never give up. Read and educate yourself daily. Meditate, listen to your heart, not the opinions of others. People will tell you 1,000 ways that why something won't work. You just need to find that one way that it does. Have faith that hard work and spiritual connections will get you through. Enjoying the journey. Owning your own business and controlling your own future, it's scary, but it's extremely rewarding.
Maria, I love that. Can you do a favor for me? Could you, we have a couple of Hispanic listeners that don't speak English. Could you recite just that same paragraph in Spanish?
Sure. Que nunca se dejen dar por vencidos. La educación diaria, orar, meditar, escuchar su corazón, no las opiniones de los demás, porque mucha gente siempre le dicen miles de cosas que no van a funcionar. Uno tiene que buscar lo que funciona para uno, tener fe que todo va a trabajar y en disfrutar el trabajo que uno hace. Cuando uno quiere hacer un negocio siempre uno tiene miedo, pero todo siempre termina muy bien al final.
Gracias. Gracias, Maria. Thank you so much. I'm sure our listeners appreciated that, receiving that from you today. And you're also going to lend your business savvy to the Coach Tate Foundation and TTD Security, I heard.
Yes, absolutely. In addition to my business, I will be helping with translations and projects that involve the Latino community. TTD and Coach Tate Foundations reaches out across the globe, and I'm happy to bring my skills to help the children of the Coach Tate Foundation and the global presence of TTD.
Oh, that's fabulous, fabulous. And we wish you the continued success of God and all that you do and bring to make our faces through our makeup and caring for our skin and feng shui and your translation using your skills. Thank you so much, Ms. Lopez.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And Mr. Demetrius,
yes.
Do you have anything you would like to add to close out the supplier advice going forward for any minority, like a Greek male, an African male, a Hispanic male that's looking to get into a business just as a minority business owner? What advice would you give them to close out this session?
One thing is whatever industry you're getting into, whatever it might be, you have to understand what you're getting into, first of all. If you get into security, there's a lot of research out there, free research. You do Google searches or any type of searches. Find out what you're getting into. A lot of these people say, I want to do this and do that, but they just don't know even where to start or how to get into it. There's all kind of, ask friends, ask colleagues, ask people that are in that industry that you might know, just some advice on how to start, where to go, and familiarize yourself with the competitors. Who's out there doing what you're going to be doing? And another thing is you always have to kind of keep your eye on the goal and always reach for it, because there's going to be a lot of naysayers. People say you can't do it. And one negativity could tear you down. But if you forget that, always keep in mind what you're doing, what you're going for, and just go and reach it, because you will reach it if you keep going.
Thank you, Mr. Mamaritas. Thank you so much. And Mr. Rapnier,
Yes, ma'am.
could you share your closing, or you want to lead us into the workplace inclusion for the 21st century, as we discussed earlier, the topic for the table?
Yeah, I think that what I'd like to add is for individual owners out there, like Demetrius, like Maria, what they've said is really strong statements about staying with what you know and expanding it to your client base. Mm-hmm. But I think too, what I can offer from being an HR executive for the past 20 some years is to the HR people out there and the CEOs, don't be afraid to reach out, especially to individual owners, and get some advice, get some counsel. A lot of times I've noticed, I thought this was the strangest thing. I won't give the name of the company, but it's very big, Starbucks. There you go, I said it. Oops, sorry. We brought in all these MBA students, and these kids a lot of them had never even left their state. And we're getting advice from people who basically just had information funneled into their heads, who've never experienced what it's like to work in a business a day in their life. And I think and Starbucks finally changed that around a little bit, and they started going to people that own private coffee shops or independent coffee shops, and they're like, what's your biggest challenge? What are you doing? How do we get in the neighborhoods? And this is when Howard Schultz did the project with Magic Johnson, where we started putting Starbucks in neighborhoods where you normally didn't see Starbucks, in African-American neighborhoods. And one of the things that he did, instead of going to MBA students who had never even been to those neighborhoods, is he talked to people who were in those neighborhoods and said, will people pay $4.50 for a cup of coffee when they can get it for $1.25 at Dunkin' Donuts? What's going to be the differentiation between having you come into a place that's seen as a predominantly white, upscale, kind of elitist type of thing? What can we do to open the doors to the community? And they talk to those individual owners. So if I do that, do what they did, do that model. Don't bring in a bunch of people who've never been in business before. Don't bring in a bunch of people who've never lived in that neighborhood before. Bring in people that have lived in that neighborhood before and have done business in that neighborhood. And for you CEOs, presidents, vice presidents of human resources, that's where your answer lies, is going out to the community, to those people.
Well, I think that's very important, Mel. Very important statement to make there, because in the 21st century going forward, we have to create new algorithms, new theorems, new business models that are from the bottom up. And it's Maslow's theory, hierarchy theory, the basic. Our folks and our peoples have to have the basics: food, home, and shelter. And my approach, and I think all of our approaches on this panel, is to ensure that we balance the scales. That's all we're seeking in our programs and policies for the people going forward, as we bridge these gaps to ensure that we have success. And I'll close on this one or add this, that I think is very relevant, because there are solutions, and we don't often hear about solutions where folks are being successful by models that work. And here's a statement from our workplace diversity inclusion colleague. He said, some places are leading the way, offering lessons for others to follow. In San Antonio, Texas, decades of discord between business and community have been replaced by striking instances of collaboration, particularly around supporting pre-K for less advantaged kids, with the business case being that this is part of preparing the workforce for the mid-century. And he says in Jacksonville, Florida, a long-established community council has been bringing together actors across sectors to devise solutions to the region's pressing problems. In Florida, he said the younger business leaders have consistently been part of building bridges across the region that allow for quick and effective responses. And he said in all these cases, they found a commitment that they came together to embrace their shared vision to problems as vexing as homelessness, poverty, immigration, and the environment. In all these cases, he said business leadership played a key role in bringing the business and the community together. So, Mel, I think your point was very relevant to that statement in having your business model reflect the community that you serve. Maria, do you find that as an advantage in Florida, or do we have a lot of work to do on that still?
This would be my closing answer to all this. It's about going back to the passion. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter of minority. It doesn't matter about religion, where you're from. It's about what you deliver out of your heart, and that secret ingredient that comes out of there, and that's what's going to make the difference.
Leadership matters. Leadership matters. And change. What do you feel about change? How effective do you believe going forward change will come?
Oh, for the better, absolutely. For the better, we're going to make a difference.
On both sides.
Oh yes.
I love that. Don't you think our children need to understand that and see us lead by example? I understand you are a single mom and you have a wonderful son.
That's what we're here for.
And to be able to model that behavior.
Absolutely. Pass it on.
Pass it on. That's what we're talking about as we pay it forward in the 21st century. And Mr. Demetrius Mamavridis, can you share with us some of your wise counsel in that area and maybe give us a little bit of that Greek, speak to our Greek listeners over there in Athens.
Well, yeah, Greek is my first language, but English is what I speak on a regular basis. But I just think that moving forward, that when you're going to decide to do what you're going to do.
But TTD, I mean, that's what you're doing at TTD, you and Mel, right? You're solving problems by receiving contracts with clients to Mel doing the diversity consultant, and you're doing the staffing of minority key positions. Some of these corporations are calling you guys to staff minority openings that they have. Am I correct?
Yes, we have some things on the table right now that look very promising, and we are a problem solvers. We find a solution for your problem, because if you didn't, you wouldn't be calling us. We've done that for many years in the nuclear security industry. That's why they call us, because we solve problems that other companies couldn't. With the expertise that we have on the table, with Mel's expertise of 25, 30 years in HR, and Francina's as many of their years as well, and my experience being in the nuclear industry.
And Maria with the translation.
Yeah, that bilingual is so powerful that I think I read a report by the year 2020, 50% of America will be speaking Hispanic, will be Spanish. They won't be the minority anymore. They will be pretty much the majority. So a lot of Hispanic speaking people are coming over and working in this great country of America. But yeah, Greek is.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay.
Thank you. So you're gonna not give us a little translation in Greece for our partners over in Athens?
Okay. Άμα θέλεις τη δουλειά στην Αμερική, πρέπει να μάθεις τι δουλειά θα πας. Αμερική είναι ένα μέρος που μπορεί να κάνεις όλη τη δουλειά που θέλεις να κάνεις. άμα θέλεις να κάνεις δουλειά με designs, με securities, ό,τι θέλεις είναι εδώ. Πρέπει να μάθεις τι δουλειά κάνουν εκεί και να τα μάθεις. That's it.
Opa!
Opa!
Well, Mel, I think you and I are ready to take on and show our clients how that diversity and inclusion and assimilation economics really is going to improve their bottom line in the 21st century. That's what our clients are looking for.
Absolutely.
Is for this our third-party oversight and subject matter expertise. And there's a lot out there when you look at staffing, and I think both Mel and I have seen that over 100 years between the two of us in our experience. It's changed. Staffing ain't what it used to be. And I'm happy to have Mel as the CEO and Demetrius COO and building that team, because we got to go run a championship here. And I think our clients are ready. And the difference we bring to our customers that adds to their bottom line in the 21st century is cybersecurity. When we staff, years ago, Mel, as you recall, we just sent an admin over there or a receptionist or a lawyer, do a minimum background check, and they're in the job.
Yeah.
But today, what value add we bring to the client, which we're very proud of at TTD, is not only the diversity, inclusion, and assimilation end, but also we prepare the workforce to impact the bottom line.
And I think one of the things too is we've had a great impact with startup companies. Or you and I both did Burt's Bees when they were first getting launched, and
Yes.
we brought over 100 employees in there in a 48-hour period, completely background screened, and many of those employees are still with Burt's Bees.
Isn't that amazing?
When they first moved their operation from New England down to the Durham area, and they started their first expansion, we were first in line. We've both had experience with me with starting up Netflix and with Starbucks, and but between us, we've done some major startups of companies where we've been able to bring people in. My background goes to I think I still hold the record for most employees hired in a 48-hour period in Washington, D.C., where I hired 3,200 people. It's, I don't know if Guinness keeps that record. I know I do.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's good that when you can receive that phone call, when folks are aware of your work product and your quality of work and your ethics and your soft skills, we've been able to just reach that relationship bond when we bring quality to the table in a highly sensitive area of nuclear security. I mean, that's highly sensitive, classified information where you're not only protecting facilities, you're protecting the whole community. And to be able to ensure that you have a diverse workforce that can sit at that location 24/7 and not blink an eye, and keep them motivated, you have to have more than just your skin color and your origin. Isn't that right, Mel? And Demetrius, to move the client's business forward. And I believe that's going to be a very big thing going forward, is the screening and pre-vetting process in the staffing industry, Mel, in the 21st century. It's no longer just a BIB background check. We have private investigators. I mean, wouldn't you agree that it's changed?
Oh yeah, I mean, if you look at the recent events of the school shootings and just the multitude of things that are going on in current events, and you're like, and some people are like, well, how did this person get hired, or how did this happen, or how did they not know? And we can tell stories for hours of situations that you and I both know of where a company brought somebody in and it just wasn't an effective, it just wasn't an effective search for that talent. We bring talent in. We bring people that are going to add value to the organization. We just don't throw bodies against the wall. One of the things, and I know I've talked to you about this, is today's headhunter just throws bodies against the wall hoping they'll stick.
I know.
Not trying to find talent. And part of your job when you're helping staff a company is to be a partner and say, you can't hire a CPA for $32,000. You're not going to get a quality person. So you have to be able to, but then there's other headhunters that'll go out there and say, well, I'll try to find somebody at 32 or whatever. You just won't be able to do it. There's certain areas and certain pays, and we are both experts in that area of what do you have to pay a person in Texas? What do you have to pay a person in Canada? What do you have to pay a person in Greece? What do you have to pay a person in China? We have that experience that other companies don't have. Well, when you come to us and say, I want to hire a bodyguard in China for this amount of money, we can say, that's great. You'll never find anybody. You're gonna spend about 6 months spinning your wheels interviewing a couple hundred people, and you're never gonna find anybody. But what we're gonna do for you is we're gonna look at a compensation structure, but we're also gonna look at the talent pool that we're pulling people from, because we're just not gonna put something on ZipRecruiter or Monster or Career Builder and throw a pebble out there and look at the look at the waves to see what it makes and see who comes back in. That's bad recruiting. Good recruiting is getting up there and getting in people's face and saying, hey, I heard this guy was good, not throwing an ad on Career Builder and then hoping you find the right person.
Well, I'll tell you, retention rates are very important when it comes to the CEO and those board members and looking at that bottom line when it hits the NASDAQ. And when they look at their balance sheet and they either see a profit or a loss, that's the bottom line. And so what we find is that most folks in these areas, and they knew you and I, Mel, Maria and Demetrius, were sharing this because it's relevant today in what we're doing at TTD and teaching, is that the money drives the mission. They know when they call Francina Horace and Mel Raculate, TTD, that the value add that we bring overrides whatever they procure us with. But our key is to know our cost, and we have been able to demonstrate how their turnover rate goes from 28% down to 10%. And when you drive the numbers and get out of the emotion when it comes to diversity and supplier diversity and work, we need 5 blacks, we need 10 women, we need 6 Hispanic, we need all of these quotas. But not any of that is adding value to EBITDA, to the net bottom line, to the profits. It's filling a quota. So we have to look at new models going forward. And I like that, Mel, and excited about introducing and expanding what we're doing out to the greater market because it proves to be beneficial. Demetrius, do you have anything else you want to add on that last part of how things work when they work?
Yeah, one thing a lot of these companies are doing, they're just filling, like it was just mentioned, filling in the numbers. They just want to get the number. They don't even care who fills it, just fill it. Well, those type of fillers don't last. Those type of fillers come and go. We look for quality, not necessarily just quantity. Just if we need 100 people, we're not just going to grab the first 100. We're going to do a few hundred interviews to get the 100 qualified. And we have many projects, and there was one over here at a power plant in Charlotte here. We had 44 people to hire, and we had 5 full-timers. We had 400 to 500 different people interviewed, and we cranked them out in one day. It's not what Mel did at 3,500 or whatever, but we got the most qualified people, and that project was supposed to be for about 6 weeks, and it lasted over 2 years. And none of those people left until the project ended. And then the client actually hired a lot of those people because they were very qualified.
Well, and that's the way we all reduce the intellectual property and the economics of inclusion and assimilation of different cultures. It's just a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. It's a win-win-win all the way around the coin. And when the scales are balanced, what we have is increased productivity, increased profits, and increased performance for the worker and for the employer, for the business owner and from the corporate entities, public or private. And that's where we're going to drive the 21st century, our programs with TTD staffing, the diversity seminars and lecture series, the consulting and coaching, and also the charity, building that pipeline of workers. That's important to our corporate entities, public and private, is that we succession plan, and we have that pipeline of workers ready for them to meet their business objectives in the 21st century. They're looking for that new workforce, and we have it, and we just want to demonstrate how it works out into the greater market. Okay, is there anything else, Mel, other than leaving our contact information with our listeners so that they are aware of how to pick up that telephone and give us a call if they have any needs for staffing and diversity, inclusion, and assimilation coaching?
Yep, absolutely. You can contact me at 302-298-6489. Again, that's 302-248-6489. Or you can reach me through email at hrczar, that's hrzar, @ymail.com.
Fabulous, fabulous. Thank you, Mel. And Miss Maria Lopez.
They can reach me at www.essenceofmaria.com. That's ESSENCE of Maria.
I love essenceofmaria.com. Thank you, Miss Maria. And Mr. Mamaritas.
Yes, you can reach me. My phone number is 919-255-8054. 919-255-8054. My email is my first name, Demetrius, is DEMETRIOS at Coach Tate, TATE Foundation.com. Coach Tate Foundation.com.
Thank you so much to our featured guest panelists, Mr. Mel Rapule, Miss Maria Lopez, and Mr. Demetrius Mamaritas. Thank you guys so much for sharing with our listeners today your counsel in the areas of preparing our women and minority populations for a successful economic business model in the 21st century. Thank you so much.
Thank
and
you.
I will
Thank
close
you.
out this session. Thank you so much. I have a poem that was submitted, one of our favorites, as we're talking about change and the things that need to get changed in order for us to bring about a new business model. And the prayer is called the Serenity Prayer by Reinhold Niebuhr, 1892 to 1971. And he writes, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardships as the pathway to peace, taking as he did this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that he will make all things right if I surrender to his will, that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with him forever in the next. Amen and amen. I am Francina Tate Holris, your hostess.